Right. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome. I can't call this the Lockdown 2 Mental Health Awareness show now. I'm going to start calling it the Mood Mentor Mental Health Awareness Show, because now this is number 1 of 52 weeks of Tuesday night mental health awareness live discussions. Second challenge. And I must say, before I go any further into this, thank you to everybody who really genuinely supported me through the 28-day challenge. It was tough. We got there. We had some interesting camera moments along the way, but we did it and we learned and we grew from it. That was a tremendous growth in 28 days. And look where we are now, starting a brand new challenge. And this evening I have with me Judith Quinn. Hi, Judith. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. And it's thank you so much for coming to join me on the live discussion. This is really lovely, and it's nice to meet you, by the way. At last, it was sort of last minute before we went on live, wasn't it?
It was.
Last few seconds. So yes, nice to actually meet you, because we've had a little bit of communication. And rather than me using my voice too much tonight, I understand that you're quite an expert with using voice.
It would be my thing, yeah.
Oh, and hi, Yvette. She's online. Hi. Well, we got several people joining us. Oh, this is good. So yes, so your thing, voice and healing, which is what we're all about on this show. Anything healing, anything to do with mental health, anything to make people feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, introduce us to yourself and what it is you do. That'd be lovely.
Okay. So I am a vocal confidence and communication specialist and voice vibration sound healer. And my mission is to transform the lives of more than 100 million people by creating more confident, connected communicators. And a big part of that is helping people express themselves fully with clarity, with confidence, with the courage of their convictions, no matter the situation. And that is key. And one of the biggest challenges that people have, originally people came to me for public speaking coaching. So my background is 20 years as a classically trained professional actor, then to support acting, because I've not been on EastEnders, which is the question I always get asked. My sister won't believe I'm an actress until I'm actually on Coronation Street. But the majority of actors, our life is handing out flyers on street corners, squirting perfume in department stores, tutoring various topics. So I also trained as a massage therapist to support my acting career, because I've always been a natural healer and I've always worked with energy. And then I discovered voice vibration sound healing. And one day, one of my massage clients said to me, Judith, I said, yes, Barbara, you're an actress. I said, yes. And she goes, and you do that stuff with sound, because no one really understands the voice vibration sound healing.
And in here.
Yep. And I do meditation with it and everything as well. And she said, my husband's got to give a talk to 80 solicitors on a specific point of law in a couple of weeks, and he hates public speaking. Could you help him? The story's actually longer than that, but we don't have time. And so I said yes. And all my imposter syndrome came up. Who am I, this 35-year-old failed actress, to be telling a 65-year-old magistrate how to address 80 solicitors and da da da. And I was like, I'm going up with my voice folder from drama school under my arm.
But when I got in for you, oh my goodness.
I know. But when I was there with him and we were talking about it, and he shared some of the speech that he'd started to write, and I just said, okay, stop there. And I realized straight away, when you have those who am I questions, and very often with mental health, it's very often the who am I to, who am I to, who am I to ask for help, who am I to share this problem with someone else, who am I to burden someone else with my problems, which, by the way, when you share your problem, you don't burden others with it, but we'll come to that later. So, who am I to this 35-year-old failed actress? Because that's kind of how I saw myself. I hadn't played Lady Macbeth at the RSC yet. So, that was my measure of success. And
to have not done it.
Well, no, I will do it one day. It's still there. But I realized very early on, I'm like, oh, okay, he doesn't know why he's doing this. He doesn't. because it was in that moment I realized I have so many skills that I just take for granted, that other people just don't even know about. And as soon as I realized that, I started working with him on finding the truth, finding the reason, finding the passion behind his purpose, the reason why he was delivering that talk, what was important to him about it. And I asked him, I said, what's going on? He's like, well, they're just going to think it's boring. I'm like, well, if you think it's boring, that's what they'll hear. And that's really where I suddenly connected all the dots for everything that I do. And long story short, took a little while. I then also trained as a life coach, brought all of that together. And it was, must have been, I think it was towards the end of last year. I was having a conversation with a person who I was thinking of taking as my coach / mentor. And in that conversation is when we came up with my brainwave. And that is the realization, which I'd always known, but I hadn't had the nice catchy phrase or the nice easy sentence for it, which is this little bit of magic that I'm about to share with you now. I know. Are we ready for some magic?
I'm on my feet here. Well, you've got this nailed. Come on.
So
I can tell you're a public speaker by trade because you have me sitting on the edge of my seat for the first time.
So this is a little bit of magic that I always knew but hadn't been able to succinctly put to people. And that is, your voice is a reflection of every experience or emotion you have ever had, imagined, or witnessed.
Wow.
So I'll say it again because it's quite a big concept. So your voice is a reflection of every experience or emotion you have ever had, imagined, or witnessed. And what I wasn't hearing with that first client was the reflection in his voice of why anyone should care about this specific point of shipping law. All I was hearing was the thoughts and the feelings of they'll think it's boring and I'm a bad public speaker. So what his voice was reflecting his fears. And it was also, later on down the line, I realized, well, an actor, it was when I was being interviewed by someone, actually, it just came out of my mouth. I said, an actor's job is to represent truth, is to find the truth. Everyone's like, oh, you're an actor. How do I know if you're telling the truth? You're just lying. You're acting. I'm like, no, do you not know how much effort it takes to act? But actually our job, the reason it's effortful is because we're trying to find the truth in either invented characters or characters from history or characters. We're trying to embody a different truth to our own. And if you think of the actors who you really like watching, you believe them. What makes a good actor? You believe that it feels true.
I just think that what makes a good actor is at the end of the film, you remember the character, not the actor.
Yeah. But also you get drawn into the story.
Yeah. Because loads of films are thin and that's, that was acted by so-and-so, but you can't remember the character. But then you get the ones where you remember the character and it doesn't matter who could have acted it. It's like you remember the character and that's the bit. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it was from then that I really started honing my message, and the work with voice, the voice vibration sound healing. So how that comes into this is your voice is a reflection of every experience or emotion you've ever had, imagined, or witnessed. And what happens is your subconscious brain and your cell memory hold on more tightly to the bad stuff than the good stuff.
Yeah.
Because we're always looking out for what's dangerous. And so we tend to go to that space. And this is why it's really challenging. This is why sharing your voice, whether that's raising your hand in a team meeting, whether that's saying no. I work with a lot of perpetual people pleasers. It's a thing. Most of the people who, well, there we go. Most of the people who come to me are perpetual people pleasers, but who are now pissed off with other people always getting promotion or promoting themselves or being seen and heard. because they finally realized that actually putting people in front of you all the time and holding your voice back and saying yes all the time, saying, yeah, okay, I'll do that, even if you are weighed down already, but you don't want to hurt someone else's feelings, or you don't want to offend them, or you want other people to think, oh, aren't they lovely? They're really nice. And underneath it, you are up to here. And so the voice vibration sound healing helps you recognize where you're holding those tensions and can release them as well. And it can get big and emotional sometimes. I'm not going to lie. I've had people on my courses with PTSD come back up and all sorts of different types of life experiences. It doesn't have to be that traumatic, but if we do the deep work. But the great thing is then it releases that, because you've recognized it and you're releasing it on a different level, so that suddenly you can fully embody your voice and who you are. So that's that side of it. And then the stress management side of it, the mental health side of it is all interlinked, because if we're holding on to our rubbish, it impacts our day-to-day life. And I've been there. So the summer of 2016, I was not wanting to be here on this planet anymore. And but I didn't tell anyone. So I kept it all to myself. Or maybe you might try and tell someone. And I did. I tried to tell someone. I said, I think, that the world's worst question when you're in a bad mental space is, how are you?
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard to talk at that early stage when you can't even answer that yourself, or you don't, if somebody says, how are you? You don't even know what to say, let alone actually have the conversation.
So I said, so someone asked me, and I was in a really bad, I knew I wasn't in a good place. And I had been waking up every morning, not wanting to be here anymore, exasperated by the fact I'd woken up, God, it'd be so much easier if I woke up dead. And I was starting to make lists of people in my head who would miss me if I went, and
Positive thinking.
And it was a very, no, I then discounted them all. That's the mental headspace I was in.
You were trying to do the natural positive thinking, but it wasn't working. Oh my goodness.
So so one of the people on my list said, oh, how are you? I said, not great, actually. I just feel blur. Oh, well, we all have downtime. So I'm like, no, I'm not. It's worse than that. And they're like, well, what's up? And it's like, I just feel unwanted. And of course, there's someone who's very close to me, and they just laughed. I went, oh, don't be silly. You're wanted. And no, they didn't mean it. And that laughter was discomfort. And that, it wasn't, it was just, oh, don't be silly. It was just, you're wanted. It's like, and then of course you realize, I can't say this anymore to you, because yes, I know you want me, but it's not about you. It's about other things and other people. And then you're like, well, I can't say that, because then they'll feel really bad that their love isn't enough.
And so I then how to handle that revelation, do they?
So I then stayed in silence, and I then didn't tell anyone else, which of course just exacerbated it. Obviously, I got over it because I'm here.
Well done.
But it's that thing. If you're the mental health element of not sharing your voice. And so I now do a talk that I take mostly into companies. It's called Stop Suffering in Silence, because I want people to speak up before they get to where I was. And if you could start, and particularly people pleasers, please, any of you out there watching if you know that you're a perpetual people pleaser and you find it really awkward to say no, or you hate hearing no, or that you're taking on too much and you do things when people ask you to, even if you don't want to, the number one tip I can offer you is start to learn how to say no. The second one is speak up and tell someone there's a problem, because people think that it's obvious. People go, oh, well, obviously, they know how much I do. They'll know. It's like, no, people don't, because people are in their own bubble. People have got their own stuff going on. And this is where sharing your voice, being able to speak about the problem in a way that's detached from your emotions, which is challenging. Particularly, I work with a lot of people who are in bad places at work and they haven't said anything. They haven't said anything to the person or to their manager or to whoever. So it's about how to have that conversation so that you're not carrying it all in here. Because if we don't say something, the other people don't know, because they've all got their stuff.
Yeah.
And nothing can be done about it if we don't talk about it. But thankfully, lots of people like yourself and lots of other people and businesses are starting to recognize the importance of this.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you for putting yourself out there and doing these talks, these interviews,
Thank you.
and sharing.
Thank you. No, I'm fully with you about everything, honestly, everything you've said. And I agree about the workplace, because that's like the next level I want to get to with my book. I've done the teenage book, and that's another one I want to do, is about, because we exist for 3 places: work, education, and home. That's the 3 main categories of human beings. And if you're not in one of them, you're homeless, jobless, and out of education. So that is a really, really key place to start, is at work, isn't it? And it's hard to reach people at home unless you can create the right information, where that information goes into the home, but you can't go into the home unless they invite you. But it's that's why the school and the work environment are really, really key for courses and training, and, like you say, working with leaders. And then if you get to do that with leaders, that's the ripple effect, isn't it? And I love that whole ripple effect. So yeah, you're doing it. You're out there and you're doing it. And what a bounce back.
So, well, yeah, but it's just, I mean, it was accumulation of life. Now that I know where I was, I see the seeds of it before. So when I was 31, you know, I was writing a one-woman play, and I would say to friends, "Oh, what are you doing?" No, actor talk. And I'm like, "Well, not a lot. No, squirting perfume in Harvey Nicks, great." I said, "But I'm writing this one-woman play," and my friends go, "Oh, what's it about?" And I would say, "Well, you know that moment when you're on the edge of the train platform and you're looking down and you're thinking, I wonder what would happen if I," and my friends would go, "Oh yeah, I know that moment." So I thought everyone had these thoughts. It's not until
more than you realise, but yeah.
it's not until quite a long time after that one of my friends, who's a psychotherapist, I was helping her with a presentation she had to deliver, which was on mental health, because she's a psychotherapist, and about how everyone has mental health and it's like physical health, and we all have better or worse mental health depending on, you know, where we are and where we're at in life. Some people have an acute condition. So for me, I used to get acute depression, my slightly suicidal bit, or my blip as I now refer to it. You know, that was an acute bout. Other people have chronic depression, chronic mental health illnesses of other varieties.
That's why I'm here, actually, because of my son. Because obviously we've not had a chance to catch up before. My son was suicidal for 12 years. And he actually tried to commit suicide when he was 8 years old, which was really young. And I literally only just caught him and stopped him from running in front of a car. So it's not even just about adults and teenagers.
No.
Children much younger can have these feelings too. So yeah.
And when you're a child, the feelings are bigger. They're more polarized. And that's what I say. Like, when I looked back at it, I remember when I was at drama school, there was a program about self-harming was on, and they were talking about it, and I went, and they said something about, and you know, self-harming wasn't even a phrase when I was at school. Let's face it. I mean, you know, look at these. You know, I'm 47, right? So self-harm, we'd occasionally be like, "Oh, did you hear? You know, Mary tried to kill herself at the weekend. You know, she tried to cut her wrist. And, oh, but did she do it that way or that way?" Like, you know, that's but that's the only way we talked about it. Like, it was called trying to kill yourself. It wasn't self-harm, which kind of then, and the internet didn't exist and all of that. But on this program, they were saying, you know, so, well, how did it start? She says, "Oh, well, it started with me picking at myself, and then it started with me digging my nails in." And I'd be like, "Oh, I used to dig my nails into the back of my hand till I drew blood to get rid of my anger. Oh, is that self-harming? Oh, I didn't know that. If you'd have asked me back then, I'd have said no. I just released my anger like that.
Yeah, it's like fighting, but not knowing how to fight the world. You fight yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it's something it's the one part actually I've struggled to get my head around. I get my head around a lot of things about grief and depression, about happiness, and about how we switch between them, because that's my focus is on why we change between emotions. Is the part I look at is the emotional cycle itself. But, and very much how we relate to it now, and how every emotion has a purpose that we're trying to use now that hasn't evolved since we were cavemen. But we're trying to use a caveman brain in today's society.
Yeah.
Why is it going wrong?
Or we haven't evolved since we were children. This is the power of the core process that helped me get myself from not wanting to be here to fine.
Yeah.
And the core issue is we believe our feelings. We make them up in response to something that happened in the past, and we keep on believing them. So mine was, I'm not wanted. Right? That was my thing. And you then take the proof of everything that proves to you that you're not wanted. And you believe your emotions. So your emotions aren't truth. They're reaction. And well, your emotions can be truth. Your feelings aren't. There's a subtle difference. But it's also the lack of self-awareness. We're not brought up in a society, and society is changing, but we're not brought up in a society to be self-aware.
No.
To go, okay, like prime example, today I was really busy at lunchtime, and I went into my emails to check something. There was an email then that said, your vehicle is no longer taxed, or something like that. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, God. And I just skim read it, and I just, oh, fine, I'll buy it. I'll do my tax now. Went in, and then the page disappeared, and I was like, I've just been fished. And I went back and I looked at the email, and it was obviously fake. I mean, so obvious, so obvious. But because I was in a rush, I didn't do it. Now, me, 5-6 years ago, I would still be livid now talking to you about this. I'd literally be bashing my forehead on my thing. I'd be like, you idiot. Oh my God. I'd be fuming with anger. When I was having difficulties trying to report it to the active fraud or whatever they're called. And the website, when I'd have been shouting at my computer, I'd have been crying in tears, all of those emotions, which are made up, which are just feelings that I'm falling into because of how I relate to myself in life differently. All of them would have taken. Today, I was just like, right, okay. That's really annoying. But cancel the card. And it got me a little frustrated because it took so long to do. But this is our mental health. This is self-awareness of where you're at, and being able to have tools and techniques to manage when you are triggered, when you are stressed, when you feel everything. That's the key. But self-awareness is the number one tool, and knowing what it is, because it wouldn't have been that thing that actually frustrated me. It would have been my I'm not good enough. Like, I should have done that. I should have been, or there's a right way and I didn't do it properly, and it's my fault for not checking. And it's not. It's the Fisher's fault for, trying to steal all my card details, which they did, and my birth date and my address and my car registration number. But that's okay.
That didn't come back to bite.
No, well, I cancelled my card straight away, and this is the thing. Like, look, hear in my voice now that it's that is the power of changing your mental approach to your emotions, and knowing yourself, and having tools to be able to manage that.
I think part of what you're saying is experience as well, because your experience changes as you mature. But when they're younger and that goes wrong, they're like something's changed, because we change between emotions. Something's changed. Oh, that's all gone wrong and I've been fished. But they might not know how to stop it and how to retrieve it at an instant thought the way we would. And
partly, but I think that's
like they feel like they've just smacked into a brick wall, don't they? And it's just like
Partly, but I think that's what we're talking about here is
Mm.
making self-awareness, making
Yeah.
mental health awareness, making emotional awareness,
Yeah.
making that much more normal, bringing it in at a much younger age, letting people of our generations and above
Yeah.
think it's okay to go and have therapy, like not be embarrassed to
Yeah. No.
talk about seeing a counselor or seeing a psychotherapist, seeing a woo voice vibration sound healer, whatever it is, it's about,
Yeah.
and that's why these conversations are really important to
Yeah.
make
Absolutely.
that normal. And it's, for me, it's not about always living life balanced and zen, because that
No.
frankly would be boring for me, because I quite like the highs and lows. But it's
Yes.
about being able to moderate and not letting the highs get ridiculous and not letting the lows take you into that dark space, and having the ability. My biggest vocal confidence challenge, which obviously was also my biggest mental health challenge, was not being able to ask for help because I'm the strong one.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm the one that people come to with their problems. I'm the one that can cope with everything. Oh, she's so strong and she's so busy and she's da 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 da. And like no one, and because I've created that pattern in my past, then people don't think to check up on me.
Yeah.
But I need to be responsible for having created that pattern. I can't go blaming my dad or my mum or the teachers at school or the people who bullied me when I was 9 or whatever it is. It's like, yes, that happened. But when we become aware of it, we can then, it's all about moderation of control and flow, having structures that enable us to manage and allowing ourselves to go a little bit with, well, that happened. What can I now? There's no point fighting. What can I now do to adjust?
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. So you're saying about all your voice as well and your vibration. How does this work? What exactly do you do with the voice to bring yourself up from all of this? Because it's obviously work. Look how bubbly you are.
Oh, I've always been bubbly, even when I was thoroughly depressed. Like when my friends, that summer, when I finally started telling people, I don't recommend this. If you've been in a bad place, don't tell, when your friend's partner, who you don't really know that well, says to you, how are you? Awful question. Don't respond with slightly suicidal, actually, but don't worry, that's not your problem. That's what I did. Bless her. Her face was like, oh, okay. But my friends were they all said, but you look so busy and you're always so busy and your life is so full. And I'm like, why do you think I keep my life full? But it's like, well, you never told us. I was like, well, you never call me. I did. I phoned you all. I phoned you all to say, how are you? I didn't say, I'm feeling awful, because I didn't want you to call me out of pity, because that would have been a pity call. And I wanted you to want me, because my thing is I'm not wanted, because my head was messed up. But how do you use your voice? So it is an amazing instant state changer. So this is one of the ways. There's so many ways to use your voice. Let's come to the instant state changer at the end, because I can give you an exercise that you can do in 15 seconds. That can, if you're in that stressed, angry, or the manic, like, oh my God, I've got so much to do, it can bring you down and calm you and center you. And alternatively, if you're feeling a bit it can also lift you. So we'll leave that bit to the end, because it's nice and quick and easy, and I want to give everyone something to take away.
Okay.
The deep work that I do is how voice works, is going back to your voice is a reflection of every experience or emotion you've ever had, imagined, or witnessed. And this is reflected in most people's voices. I'll try and do it. By having a voice that's sort of somewhere up here, it's sort of like in the head, and it's not very full, and very often the voice is sort of at the back of the mouth, and otherwise it comes out as being very quiet, and it's people who are very quiet, or alternatively, in some cases, people who are really blustery and like, yes, la 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 la, right? That's how another way that insecurity can come out. But all that is your voice doesn't have access to partly up here, but very often lack of access to here, because when your voice physically vibrates on these different levels, it triggers, it holds the same energy as the experience or the emotion from your past that you're not wanting to feel again. So it's your body's safety mechanism going, nope, thanks very much, but that energy is a little bit, no thanks, we'll just, so the voice doesn't go there. You'll know this when you've been impacted by something and you go to speak and you just can't speak, your throat closes up and it's like,
Yeah.
or you go to speak and your voice is here, or it's, you know, when you're just wanting to cry, or you're so angry that your solar plexus is just this tight and it's like, I can't get the words out.
Yeah.
It's your body saying, I can't deal with these emotions right now. So what you can do to help release them is sound. And I use the chakra sounds that were taught by a guy called Jonathan Goldman, that was taught to me by a guy called Stuart Pearce, who I did my first voice vibration sound healing course with. And then I use these sounds. They're sort of a westernized variety of the Hindu Vam, Ram, Lam.
Oh, yeah,
One.
yeah.
Yeah. So they work with every chakra and every energy center. If the chakra isn't a word that people watching like to use or have heard of or think is a little bit me, I'm a very practically spiritual person. So for me, the language doesn't matter. It's about the intention. And so your different energy centers hold different areas of emotion and experiences. So for example, your root, which is down around by your pelvis, that is red in color. And very often in the retreats, I use a lot of color work as well to see, you know, how do you relate to the color? And it's about safety, security, stability, strength. It's the traditional masculine traits. It's what in traditional society, the man used to provide: the safety, the security, the financial stability, I'll go out and hunt and provide the food. Safety, security, stability, strength.
Yep.
So the energies that get held there are very often the energies around everything that makes us feel unsafe, insecure. So lack of money is a really common one. Lack of a father figure, or lack of love from a father figure. Problems with authority, feeling that instability, and very often the more masculine emotions of anger that tend to sort of be pushed away, which in lots of people, not just women, I work with men as well, and you know, especially in today's society, there's no real outlet for people to express anger. In women, it's still seen as unseemly, and men are realizing actually, you know, having a good punch up on a Friday night isn't the best way to express yourself or relieve things. So in society, we generally tend to not know what to do with anger, which I think is partly, which has just come to me, why internet trolling is so big, because people can, you know, they're keyboard warriors. They can release all their frustrations that they've had in their whole life on one person who just said something that made them go, yes. Yeah. So the way the sound works is there's different sounds for each of the energy centers, and it depends on your intention. So you can either sound to recognize what you are holding there and release it, or to create more of that energy if you want to. So let's use the root as an example. The sound for there is haw. So it's on a deep note, whatever that is for you. Right? And there's no right or wrong note, because your body is different to mine. I've 20 years as a professional actor, and now I've been a sound healer for nearly 10 years. My range is ridiculous. But if it's the end of the day and I'm tired, my low note this evening is going to be different to my low note this afternoon.
Yeah.
So don't worry about the note. It's the sound, it's the haw, and it's the energy of feeling safety, security, stability, strength. Or what do I relate to there that's insecurity, unstable, feeling weak? And what you do is you just repeat the sound. So for example, you just sound, and you sound ho, 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 ho. I can feel a little bit of the latent frustration from my experience earlier. So,
Yeah.
and so then you could just keep sounding it to release it. So you don't have to release it with words.
Wow.
Or if you wanted to, you could sound like, actually, I just want to take energy from, I can feel the whole planet beneath me. I can feel, and I want to and just creating more stability and security inside me.
Even that sounded more stable when you did that the second time.
Because intention, this
Yeah.
comes back to what I told Bruce. Remember?
Yeah.
You know, if you're thinking they'll think it's boring, that's what they'll hear. So if I'm thinking about my frustrations, that's what I'll release. If I'm thinking about I take energy from the earth, that's what I'll create.
Yeah.
And you can do this for all of the energy centers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And it's
So where do
amazing.
people learn this from you? Or how do they go about learning this?
Well, there are a few people out there who do it. Not that many that I know of. So if you wanted to come to me, there are several ways. We can work one-on-one together. I have an online course which I created just this year, which is a self-study course. You take yourself through it. And at the moment, it's ridiculously cheap. It will be going up next year when I've created my pre-course to that one. But it's only £27. Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours of video, but they're broken up into 5 to 15-minute lessons. So lots of people are like, oh, it's so good. I can just take it bit by bit.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And that guides you through introduction to sounding. Another really simple way to play with the sound is come and join me on a sound meditation. Like for people who are going, oh, I don't know, that might be a bit too deep. It might release too many emotions. Come and use sound for meditation. So, and that's some of the tool that I'm going to share at the end here is I do in 7:30 on a Monday morning, UK time, if people are watching from all over the world, and 7 at the moment it's 7 p.m. on a Thursday, but come January it's going to be 7:30 p.m. on the 1st and 3rd January. 1st and 3rd January? 1st and 3rd Thursday of the month. So you can come and sound for meditation purposes and explore and play in that way.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to follow that, then obviously come and connect with you on Facebook.
Yes, of course.
Tag up the likes and everything so that you get notified. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. It's exciting that you've got all of this together, and you know, what a journey. Yeah.
It's amazing. We've just finished a 7-week online course with the 7 sounds, the 7 chakras. That taking people on a journey for 7 weeks through that. I've got my retreat in Ireland that I run where we go and we do 7 sounds in 7 days. It's quite big. People need to talk to me first about that one because it needs to be the right mix of people. But yeah, so there's lots of different ways you can work with it. I have a CD. There we go. I can send the MP3s. I haven't quite got that as a product, so.
Oh, right. Your whole voice, sound and silence. Yeah. Oh, lovely.
And that guides you through the meditations. So there's lots of different ways you can explore. And I've got videos all over the place on my Facebook group and YouTube.
So it's really accessible. So it's not a case of like, no, that sounds really good. So
I've got my Oracle deck.
Yeah,
Forgot my Oracle deck.
Inspire some people to have a go, just to even try.
One of my cards that you pull from the deck, and you can. This one's create magic.
Wow. Is that like one of the sound energies?
So this one is words have the power, but all the different cards have a different image and a different message and a different sound that goes with them, which I describe in a booklet. So there's actually lots of ways people can explore this with me.
Because I mean, a lot of people think, oh, just singing doesn't do much apart from make a noise. But actually, there is a phenomenal amount of science behind sound, isn't there? And it's like when you see, I can never get this camera right, when you see those boards and they sprinkle sand on and then play a violin and it creates the patterns.
Yeah.
And I think they've proven that a lot of like the religious chapels and cathedrals and that have got those exact patterns across the architecture, which then make up actual songs and hymns.
Yeah.
And because that's it. And I was talking to my daughter about this earlier, knowing you were coming on, because there's a guy on YouTube who talks a lot. He literally travels the world and goes and visits all the ancient relics like the Egyptian tombs and the Incan pyramids and all of the places all around the world. But he also does science experiments to link the knowledge of now with the history of then. And one of them was to put like a meter long tube on the table, and on one end he stretched a piece, like I can get this right. He sort of like stretched a piece of rubber balloon over one end of the tube, and he inserted a tiny little laser torch in the middle, like a diaphragm, and then he sang the sound of Om into the other end of the tube with the lights off, and it created the infinity symbol.
Yeah,
the actual infinity symbol. And it's like there is a science behind the sound. It's like, oh my god, it's mind-blowing when you really
there is so much out there, which is great for me because I'm not a sciencey person, so I just guide. But there is so much out there. Your voice is vibration. It's physically vibration.
Yeah.
It's created by vibration, by your vocal cords vibrating against each other. It's received by vibration through your ears. Your tiny bones vibrate and create the sounds into words. We feel someone's voice. We feel, if you're listening to music, you absorb the vibration through your whole body. It's huge. And actually, I just got a message today from someone who bought my course when I released it in August and has just started it. And she just sent me this message today. I'm just trying to find it. But I'm writing because yesterday I finally got around to starting your sounding course. What a result. Wow. After one small application yesterday, I picked an issue of frustration and completely released it. I found this guttural, roary, hissing sound that just went on and on. And I had to make a rage face and stretch my mouth and jaw. It stirred up a bit of sadness, which I didn't want to go into, so I didn't. And that's the power of voice vibration sound healing, because you're doing it. Like when you're the one doing it, you're in control. Like if you don't want to go there, you don't have to go there.
No.
But this is where she said, it's just amazing. Please share with anyone who you feel it might be beneficial. The world needs all the healing it can get. I've been on a healing journey for years. I have had PTSD and was messed up as a teenager. And at the moment, I'm having dental issues. Lately, I've not been able to find my natural bite. My mouth won't shut properly and I can't chew.
Okay.
But last night, after sounding, it closed. And today, as I try to do it again, it's got its normal place to be.
Yeah, sounds like she's holding a lot of stress here.
Through one sounding session, she's already released all that.
Yeah,
and that's
I believe it.
That's the power, because then we're not holding it in, and that's the challenge with mental health. Is when we're holding it in, it just perpetuates and grows. When we release it, we make space to be able to take a step back and say, right, where am I really? You know, what's my next step? Not, I'm here and I need to be there, and no, why can't I just be, or why am I still back there? It's like, no, we make space for it to be here and now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, music is such a huge industry for a reason, but because of technology and the advancement in music and pop and rock and heavy metal, I think people have lost touch with the original purpose of music. And it's almost like, I like to think of it as like when a cat purrs. They do it to heal, don't they?
Well, yeah, because a cat doesn't start purring until it's taken away from its family. Yeah, when I got my kitten, I was like, oh, she's not purring. They're like, she won't until she's away from her family. Yeah. But also, like, sound, every single original nation, original peoples, has sound in its traditions, whether that's drumming, whether it's chanting, whether it's ululating. There is sound in every ancient peoples has sound as a part of the center of community. And it's one thing, if I said to you, go and put your favorite song on and have a sing and a dance, it's why you feel so much better afterwards, because you're physically, literally changing your vibration. You are losing yourself in the music. Right? Good old disco song, lost in music.
Yeah, you choose the music carefully.
Oh no, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's Chopin or Metallica that you're losing yourself. I was a massive heavy metal rock chick. I still am, right? And if I hadn't had heavy metal to out and mosh out so much of my. I wasn't angry because I listened to metal. I listened to rock and metal because I was an angry teenager, and that music gave me an outlet. Being able to go rah and sing songs with expletives.
I get that. I do get that, but it can go both ways. Some people can get drawn the wrong way by the music as well. It can be a bit of both, but I agree that it is an outlet.
No, I don't. It's not the music that they get drawn by. They might get drawn by a different culture that's around it. But not. It's not the music. You can't, unless you're talking like death metal, which was specifically. But it's not the music. It's the culture around it. Apart from 90s house music, which was created specifically to be danced to on drugs.
That's
the only.
The music's got to make you feel better, isn't it? Basically. Otherwise, it's like having the radio on the wrong channel, and you're like.
There are some days. There's some days I sit working listening to Metallica. There's other days I sit working listening to absolute 80s, and there's some days I sit working to classic FM. It's allowing yourself to let sound into your life, and when you can control that sound, when you can use that sound for you to shift your state, and to release some. How long do we have, Kay?
How long? Another 15 minutes nearly.
So 2 things. 1, I want to share the immediate state changer with everyone. But 2, how are you feeling? And we haven't spoken about this, so please say, you admitted you're a people pleaser earlier, so please say no if you'd rather not. But I have a quick exercise that I can do to demonstrate how effective it is to release emotions through sound. If you had something that you wanted to, and we wouldn't do something deep, just something that's like a niggle or an annoyance, would you be willing to be to show people how this works?
I know, washing up.
Okay, great. So you've got some washing up that needs doing.
And
it's an annoyance. Fabulous. So I want you to close your eyes and just feel in your body, when you think about that washing up that either doesn't get done, or you're the only person that ever does it, or whatever it is it needs doing, just feel where that annoyance, that niggle, where do you feel it in your body?
A lot in my head, a little bit in my stomach.
Okay. And so let's go with the a lot. So let's go with your head. So I just want you to feel in to those thoughts, those feelings. Are they thoughts or are they feelings in your head?
Probably more towards thoughts.
More towards those. So I want you to think about those thoughts and notice what those thoughts make you feel. And I don't need to know.
Okay.
But then where do you feel those feelings that the thoughts make you feel?
That's the bit in the stomach,
That's the bit in the stomach. Okay. So you see how we get to the truth. This is all about. So I want you to feel those feelings in your stomach. And what kind of feelings are they? Because this is just the washing up, right? So what kind of feelings are those feelings in your stomach?
A bit of annoyance with myself.
And if they had a physical, feeling?
A little bit, yeah.
Like what would it if it were animated?
Squeezing in the stomach, like doing that.
Squeezing, lovely. Okay, and if that squeezing, if that annoyance at yourself, right? How much room does it take up? It's the washing up, so
about that.
Right, okay, not huge amounts, but fairly big for just the washing up.
Yeah.
So I just want you to allow yourself to feel that. And if those feelings, if that annoyance at yourself, if that annoyance, that niggle at the washing up, if that had a sound, if you were to give that a voice, so not words, if you were to put a sound to those feelings, what would that sound be? Okay, so I want you to keep sounding that. Give those feelings a voice. Let them be heard. You don't need to, yeah, that's it. Lovely. You don't need to hide them. Give those feelings a voice. Give that annoyance a grrr. I'll do it with you so you don't feel silly. Grrr. Keep giving it a voice. Grrr. Grrr. Lovely. Is there anything?
Washing up still there.
Okay, that's all right. But Is there anything else? Is there any other sound that those feelings have? Oh, okay. Then do so outside. Just sigh them. We're not thinking about the actual washing up. We're thinking about your feelings. So it doesn't need words. Just that sound.
I think that's my feeling is like oh, it's still there. It hasn't gone away, you know.
But it's not the words. This is the power that we're looking for. It's just so that I want the grr and the huh. So allow yourself to just sigh that out. Huh.
Yep.
And now that you've given that niggle an acknowledgement, if there were a sound you could make that would soothe that annoyance, that would soothe that squeezing, if there were a sound that would say, it's okay, I hear you, I know that this is annoying. If there were a sound that would soothe it, what would that sound be?
No, to be honest.
Just don't need to think about it, just feel it. So it was a squeezing and it was annoyance. You've given it a bit of a voice. So what sound would soothe it? What sound would say, it's okay, I'm not ignoring you.
Yeah.
So just give it the and just keep sounding that sound until you feel that annoyance going, oh, okay, I actually, I know I've been heard.
I can feel the vibration of it in both places as well. As I actually do it, I can feel it vibrating here and here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because your voice is vibration. And now I just want you to breathe in to that space in your tummy and breathe into the space in your brain that it was taking up. And what difference do you notice now?
Yeah, that squeezing sensation's gone away.
Okay.
I was thinking about it and the stomach was squeezing. That's gone.
So you see?
Yeah.
Now, that's just with the washing up.
Yeah.
So if you imagine how this can work on bigger stuff, and if I was working with you, we'd take that annoyance and be like, okay, that squeezing isn't just about the washing up. What else is that annoyance about? What else is that annoyance at yourself about? We'd take that deeper. But obviously we're not going to do that in something like this. No. But you already, that was like 3 minutes.
Yeah, that quick. Wow. Yeah. And it's quite funny because I've been quite good since I've lived here doing the washing up. But because I've been working on my book this last week, every time I go in the kitchen, like I said, my head was like, oh, it's washing up. But I've got a deadline for my book, and my book always took priority over the washing up. And today I went in the kitchen and there was like a week's worth of washing up. There was a typical author today, weeks to end a project, like.
I love it. I love that. I've got so in my book here. Stop shooting. Stop wanting. I actually use washing up as an example, and I'm trying to see if I can find it. I have to do the washing up, and I'm like, you don't have to do the washing up. You can choose not to.
Yeah, I know. And do you know what? I've had that choice for so long.
The choice.
That got between me and my husband and our marriage because he hated the fact that the washing didn't get done up straight after dinner. And I'm like, but it's not going anywhere. It'll still be there in the morning. No one's going to steal it.
Exactly. And look, Yvette,
it'd be annoyed at me because he'd do it. It's like you didn't have to do it. Yeah. We had that argument so many times.
So there you go. That's why it's something we know that it's something part of something bigger. But Yvette's just said, so Yvette, you were clearly doing it with us. So thank you on your thing. So your stomach feels more relaxed and a weight off your shoulders. I love that. Thank you, Yvette. So,
right.
Yeah, she's made that comment in the comments. So what I want to share with you is it's sort of a part of that is this 15-second state changer. So if you are feeling frustrated, angry, annoyed, if you're feeling just really, your head's so full, it's like, I've got to do the washing up and I've got to write a book and I've got to get the Christmas tree and I've got to feed the cat and I've got to do I've got so much to do and I just go. So what we do is we breathe and place your hand on your chest or over your heart, and close your eyes and just hum. And just hum until you feel your chest vibrating. Now, for some people, this is challenging, particularly if you've got a lot of emotional stuckness. Your voice might not want to go to your chest, so that's okay. Just hum until you feel. That's why we place a hand on the heart, so you're bringing yourself back into your body. And what that does is it brings you out of your head and back into your body. And it's almost instant.
Wow.
So for calming, you want to place hand on heart and hum into with the intention of, I open the vibration in my heart. Even if you're one of the people who, the voice gets stuck here and you can only hum up in your head, it doesn't matter. Just with the intention of, so breathe and hum. You can do it for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and it will have an instant effect. This is also great if you're nervous about anything, if you're nervous about doing something, meeting someone, whatever it is, public speaking, obviously I use it for with my clients. Use the hum for that. If you're feeling a bit blah and a bit sluggish and a bit low, then you can use the hum in a different way. But what you do, rather than slow and low, so slow and low for calming, you use it high and fast. You go, and you play around with it like a little bee buzzing. And it's brighter. And you can't help, but it may even make you laugh. And laughter is the best sound for bringing your energy up. So you can physically change your state for bringing you up as well as for relaxing. And yes, Yvette, very good for anxiety.
Yeah.
Anything that involves breathing is perfect for that, slowing your breath, because you slow your heart rate, which slows down the adrenaline that's being pumped around your body, which means your brain gets less adrenaline and your brain says, oh, actually, I might be okay. The humming adds an extra element because you're making it physical. So it's not, the breath is physical, but you can feel the vibration of the hum. And you have to focus much more on slowing the breath for the hum. So
that's good. That sounds more like when you were singing that way or humming the high note. Reminds me of my husband's grandmother. She was doing the washing up at home, and she was always singing like, oh, she used to sing "Morning Is Broken."
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, she went.
You can la 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 la, but the hum is the simplest one because it does no damage to the throat.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. So yeah. Yes, it's like because the vibration frequency matches the emotional cycle. So that when you're feeling low, you've got low vibration, high for high.
Yes.
And like and, on the fight and flight.
Exactly.
So yeah, brilliant.
So you're literally, physically, energetically, emotionally, mentally changing your vibration.
Absolutely. I'm just going to pop something up on the corner of the screen without blocking the camera if I can. If I can find it. It's right by the camera here.
And Yvette's saying laughter is the best medicine. And you can also make yourself laugh too.
There we go. Can you see that on the screen now?
Your mindset mentor. Yeah.
That is what I'm writing the book about. That is my interpretation of the emotional cycle. High vibration and happiness at the top, all the depression, the low notes and frequencies at the bottom, and the fight and flight on the sides, the anger and the grief. Yeah. That is how I've recognized the emotional cycle looks like if we could see it. And you are in orange because you believe in the power of change, and all the bit in the middle is inner change, and the orange bit around the outside is outer change.
There we go.
So there we go. That's what it actually looks like.
I'm a slight fan of orange.
Yeah, you love that. And I saw orange as quite a fruitful colour in terms of its positive change. But I realise it can be both, but it's but yeah, when you take control of change, it's positive, it's fruitful. So yeah, brilliant, powerful colour. But yeah, that's so that's my little emotional cycle, which the book is going to be all about. So yeah, good. So you have your book of the day. What we'll do is we'll pop a link in the comments to that later as well.
Okay.
And I think the rest of this series, I've got to start getting in a habit of getting all this information beforehand so we can pop them in while we're talking about them. Being prepared. We're saying about growth as well. I've got to be more prepared and grow.
That's okay.
Series.
I've got some links. I can pop them in. I can come and find the chat and I'll pop them in.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Thank you. And so we've done the 28-day challenge, and this is the first of 52. So watch how much this is going to grow. Wow. And change, and we'll change the vibrational energy. But it's going to change with every talk anyway. You know,
Yeah.
but do you know what? That has been absolutely brilliantly fascinating tonight. Thank you.
My absolute pleasure.
Such a powerful energy to kick this new challenge off with. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to try and compete with that somewhere along the other end to finish it on an
There
equal.
is no competition. There is no competition. Comparisonitis. It's more comparisonitis is more contagious than the damn COVID-19. Don't do comparisonitis.
No, it's a case of when I get to the end of the year, it'll be having something equally as powerful to end on a high, and not end on a low.
How about I come back? There you go. I'll come back at the end of the year and we'll see how you've changed.
Good idea. We'll do that then. Book you in for the last one in a year's time.
So if anyone wants to find me, everything's at Your Whole Voice. So the website's yourwholevoice.com. My Facebook group is facebook.com/groups/Your Whole Voice. So come find, come play, and hopefully we will see you anon.
Lovely, and thank you to everybody who's watched this evening. It's been great to have people in the room and listening and supporting Judith. And I'm going to literally just try and find it. I had it here somewhere earlier. Here it is. I left it on the table. I know I left it somewhere. Right, my list of speakers, so I can say who's on next week. That's what I wanted. Right, I have got a name in for next week, but I need to confirm it. And then the following week we have Lois Wagner on activism against sexual domestic violence. But next week I have got a lady in, but she's in India and I'm not 100% sure about where this is going with the subject yet. So I've got to confirm that or sort something out for next week. But this, anyway, brilliant. Thank you. Absolutely love it. And wow, go and sing for Christmas.
There we go. So off we go.
Lots of humming, and we'll get those links in later on. But thank you ever so much. Thank you, Judith. That's been a brilliant evening.
And thank you, Samuel, for your comments as well. Just saw that there. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. And yeah, brilliant. And my book will be out for Christmas. That's the other one I'm going to be humming about as well. So yeah.
Excellent.
Very quickly before we go, for anybody who hasn't seen this on my profile, very quickly, if it's going to come up. Oh, it's very small on there. But that
very small.
Oh, it is very small. That's the cover of the new book.
That's what to look out for, though.
I know.
Sharing your voice. I have to say, releasing my book. One of I public speak all over the world, but sharing this, the day I launched this, I was so terrified.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, because it was putting my voice out there in a way that I hadn't before. And it was just like, if people don't understand me being sarcastic, I can't take it back. I can't go, no, I don't. But then it started changing people's lives, and I was like, well, that's all that matters. So that's my advice to you: is remember, once you've got it out there, it will change your life.
Voice again, I plan on doing a launch party because all the book will be out before Christmas, and I'll have a release date. I'm not really going to be able to plan it in the week up to Christmas to have a proper launch. I'm going to do that on the 2nd of January to beat the Christmas blues.
There we go.
January launch. So if you want to come and share your voice again for a day-long event, please do. And anybody else who wants or knows anyone who wants to come and take part, keep an eye out for the notifications.
Yes,
okay. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kay. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.